You know, you're talking about algorithm trades. I've always wondered whether or not there's an algorithm trade on that when the gold price goes up, the South African rand strengthens. I mean, a couple of years ago, we were at 9 rand to the dollar. We recently touched 6.5 or 6.55, or about 6.6. But it seems like whenever the you know, the dollar strengthens, you know, maybe some of the shorts are buying the rand in order to offset the potential losses on being dollar short. Because the rand gold price has basically been going sideways at around 310,000 rand per kilo.
Well, I mean, it's not only the rand, it's also the Canadian dollar gold price has been kind of stable because the Canadian dollar, as you know, has been very strong.
Yeah.
Look what's happened in Australia. You know, I can't understand how the Australian economy functions after that currency went from 63 cents to the US dollar to $1.10 in what, 2 years? Two and a half years?
Yeah,
these moves in the currencies really, if you're trying to conduct business, are staggering. You better be well hedged.
Shows that the volatility comes from currencies and different central bank actions, or hot money looking for a safe haven, rather than the precious metals themselves. Because as I was saying about that example of, you know, silver buying, you know, filling up the family car, or two ounces of silver filling up the family car, you know, the precious metals maintain stability over long periods of time, but these currencies can be all over the place.
Yeah, like Canada's being viewed as a petrocurrency in the world. It's justifiable. We have a very strong energy base. And we also have, at least at this stage of the game, much better finance as the United States. So not as much better as people think, because we push a lot of our expenditures down to the provincial level, and Ontario in particular is looking a little concerning. Our debt position in Ontario is not good. But nevertheless, I mean, from the world's perspective, we look a lot better than the US dollar. And as a result, it's pushing our currency up, has pushed it up steadily from, you know, lows of, say, 62, 61 cents to the US dollar up to about 106. And when you have a move of that magnitude over a decade, roughly, against your major trading partner, you can't adjust. Our system is too rigid to adjust for that sort of a currency shift. So consequently, our manufacturing base is being badly hurt. I mean, our resources aren't, because the prices are flexible in the resource field. And so you've got a bifurcated country, because the resources primarily are in the Western Canada, which has maybe less than a third of the population. And all the people live where the economy's becoming squeezed because of the, you know, what's happening to the manufacturing industry. We've still got a fairly aggressive real estate picture. I mean, the real estate activity in Toronto, considering we're just north of the United States, is amazingly good. And I mean, it's almost like two different worlds. And yet, I worry about that, because at some point, I mean, if the underlying economy is starting to fail, I mean, the real estate can't just sit there in isolation.
I've seen pictures of $1 million houses in Vancouver that, you know, maybe had 900 or 1,000 square feet to them. It's just hard to believe.
Well, the Vancouver market's one of the hottest markets on the planet. I mean, I see that's a lot of Asian money coming in. And it's as you know, Vancouver's a beautiful place, so I can understand why it attracts people from all over the place. But for the sort of the guy working and living on sort of basic salary in Vancouver, it's getting really, really tough.
Yeah. Is Ontario the problem spot, though, in Canada in terms of looking at the economy because of the heavy industrial base there?
Ontario and Quebec. I mean, I think it was instructive that Quebec voted heavily NDP in the most recent election. I would suggest that would indicate that some of the populace is really starting to feel it.
Let's talk about the recent election. Mr. Harper won a majority now.
Yes, he did.
And what is your expectation? Continuation of the same policies, even-handed, or is it going to be a more pro-American agenda, do you think?
Well, my concern is that it could well be a more pro-American agenda. I've been told that, you know, he has not been totally revealing as to sort of his plans, because it wouldn't have basically helped in his election campaign. But now, as you know, in a parliamentary system, he has an absolute majority. I mean, he and his party can do as they see fit. So we'll wait and see. I mean, I have some liberal friends that are extremely concerned about what could happen. I'm prepared just to wait and see. But he is sort of from the right-wing side. This isn't the progressive conservative party we had for years and years in Canada. This is a much more reactionary, right-wing type of conservatism. I don't know if it's at the Tea Party stage, but it's pretty right-wing.
Is there that kind of underlying let's say, questioning about the political system in Canada that you see with the Tea Party in the United States?
Absolutely not. I mean, Canadians are far more even-handed and egalitarian.
Because the economy is better up there as well?
I guess to some extent, but it's in areas is weakening, and I think you saw the response in the NDP got, which is the Socialist Party,
right,
got more than twice as many seats as they've ever garnered in history. I mean, this was really a shattering election by Canadian standards, in the sense that the Liberals, who have been the consensus party in Canada for over a century, really got hammered. They got 19% of the popular vote. I mean, that's unheard of. And so there is change afoot.
Yeah.
And it's the polarization, you see, because you've got a more arch-right conservative party, and you've got the NDP coming on, left-right, which is the problem that the United States is suffering from. I've never seen polarization like that that's in the United States today. It's terrifying.
Is there an inclination in Canada to monetize deficits like there is in the United States?
No, they haven't had to yet. I mean, I think in the event that push came to shove, I suspect we would probably follow the same route. Like, some people are critical, those that think our dollar is far too high from an economic perspective in terms of our manufacturing industries, that we should be monetizing more aggressively, because we're not, and the U.S. is. That's one of the reasons driving our dollar up.
Right.
But I'm from the more, I guess, school that that's not going to solve any problems. I mean, in the end, if you choose to monetize, you're going to choose hyperinflation, and that to me is the most destructive condition in the human economic sphere.
If the dollar hyperinflates, what's that going to do to Canada?
Well, we can't escape the economy. I mean, we're eventually going to have to go along.
The U.S. and Canada are tied at the hip.
Absolutely. I mean, the percentage of our activity that is done, across border, and just our proximity and our shared culture, et cetera, like, I mean, if they really get into difficulty, we're kidding ourselves that we think that Canada can avoid some of the worst ramifications.
Okay. Yeah, any last words for the people who are going to be viewing this video about?
No, the only last word, I guess I sound like a broken record because I've been saying it for years, is that you must take any of these violent corrective phases in gold and silver as a buying opportunity, until such time as we've reached the top of the bull market. And I think that's years and thousands of dollars away in gold, hundreds of dollars away conceivably in silver. And just relax and be very careful with the leverage, because if you're trying to be a smart guy with leverage in this field, you can get hurt, because the big boys can really move the prices around.
John, thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure.
It's always a pleasure chatting, James.
Thanks.